Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm the GM Philosopher. This is the GM Philosophy channel, and our goal here at GM Philosophy is to empower game masters to run better games. We help game masters running all types of TTRPGs, though I talk more specifically about D&D because that's what I play. But anyway, let's dive into it. Today we're talking about how to use layered narratives in D&D. Now, when I use the language narratives in D&D, a lot of people might think to themselves, what does that mean? Like, what exactly do you mean by narratives? Well, you might think about storyline stuff. You might think about plot stuff. You might think about, all kinds of things like what you're going to prepare for the next session, what kind of things you're going to introduce to the players. Are there going to be some mysteries? Did someone commit a crime? Are the PCs going to be asked to investigate it? Whatever, right? But a lot of these are details. I don't call these narratives. I call these details. And when we want to use narratives, when we want to layer narratives, what I mean by this is we want to use what I call the invisible structure below the surface. Now, there are a lot of things that drive an awesome TTRPG. Like I said, there are details, player characters, NPCs. There are clues, there are monsters, there's magic items, there's magic, there's government, there's religion. These are all really awesome. But the three invisible structures that all of this are built on are the following: theme, tone, and symbolism. Okay, and I'm just going to talk about these just for a second because it's really important to know these, because if you can get this hidden structure down, if you can build this invisible structure as a substrate beneath your game and then build the details on top of it, your game is going to be so much more powerful. It's going to feel so much more cohesive. It's going to feel more alive, okay? So let's first start with the theme of the game. Now, theme is very specific. It's something I like to be specific about when I'm planning a game. For example, the Barren Lands, when I started that campaign, the theme was adventurers dropped in the middle of nowhere, needing to survive in the Arctic wasteland, and the theme. So the underlying theme of that is a theme of survival and rising above the danger, rising above basically the perpetual state of death, of darkness, to become hope, to become light. That's sort of the theme of the game, right? And so when I'm plotting things out, when I'm coming up with monsters, when I'm coming up with stories for the bad guys, stories to weave into what the NPCs are doing and thinking, I want to weave this theme into the game. I want to weave this in here, and I want to keep returning to it. I want to write it on a sticky note and put it on my battle station so that I know exactly what the game is about. And then I can keep pointing at that theme. And I think that's a very powerful thing. And in my games, this has proven to be very successful. Let's talk about tone. Tone is the way the game manifests. Actually, it's more about the way that you manifest it than the way it is perceived, because you cannot control perception of other people. You can influence perception, though, by delivering, by manifesting in a certain way. So when I say tone, my Barren Lands, for example, is a high magic, epic, but dark and gritty toned game. That's what it is. There are themes of, savagery, blood, violence, darkness. There are heavy themes of these things. It does not shy away from the brutality of survival. And I try to stay consistent with this tone, and I use this tone to build scenes. So for example, I might have a contrast. A scene will start, it'll be chill, and then bam, something dark, gritty, violent will happen. And it'll contrast the chill moments. And then in very, very dire moments like boss fights and whatnot, heavy roleplay moments, I'll even one-up myself, go a degree higher in brutality and darkness and tone. Why? Because I want to use that tone as a tool. I want to use that tone as a storytelling mechanism to manifest the world for the players, for them to interact with, for them to engage with. So tone is very important. The third thing is symbolism. Okay. What is symbolism? So a lot of the times we equate symbolism to mean like, oh, you see a symbol on the door, roll a religion check, see what it might mean. This is symbolism, like detailed, actual literal symbolism. What I'm talking about is symbolism of emotional resonance, symbolism of themes, symbolism of even tone or emotionality, or even overarching story plot. And here's how you use symbolism in the game. So in the Barrenlands campaign, not too long ago, the player characters came to a fort and realized there was a young wormling, white dragon, imprisoned in this cage. Basically, she had refused to bend the knee to the dragon god, and she was being sent south for re-education by the Dracorian authorities. But the group was asked by the Fae basically to help rescue her. They were also asked by one of the gods of the land to help rescue her. And so when they found her, obviously they're probably going to try to attempt to rescue, but when they found her, she had this like defiance. She had this defiant look. She had this sort of like a very strong contrasting loneliness and helplessness. Like she was literally alone. She didn't have a single ally. All of her dragon kin had bent the knee to the dragon god. She was the only one who refused. She was taken by the authorities. She was being sent south for a terrible re-education program that was going to probably be very violent and brutal. And if she even survived it, it would warp her mind. Everything beautiful about her was about to be destroyed. Everything independent about her was about to be destroyed. Everything about her that was actually unique and special, that had potential, was about to get erased because she wouldn't bend the knee to this dragon god. So you have this hopelessness. This is symbolism. And in my Barrenlands campaign, keep in mind the theme is one of darkness, brutality, savagery, but then rising above to find light and hope. So on one hand, she has this hopelessness about her, but on the other, she has this ferocity, and this drive to survive. And she has not stopped fighting. Every time they try to feed her, she tries to bite their hand off. Every time they get near the cage, she tries to swipe out at them. She keeps trying to break out of it. She's broken out of 2 cages already. They had to reinforce this one just to hold her. So she has not given up. She has this fight. And even the player characters, when she first sees them, she attacks them and she talks smack to them and Draconic, basically telling them, you puny mortals, you're nothing compared to me. She's like talking herself up. And yet she has this hopelessness, this despair that is evident when they hear her like wailing and calling out at night. So this is symbolism. And it symbolizes things to player characters, because when I say to the player character, you hear her cries and they are part savage monster, but then they are also part hopelessness and dejection, like the cries of a creature who understands that they are completely and utterly alone and they are mourning it. What I'm saying to that player character is this symbolizes a certain emotion. And if I make the emotion, if I aim it right, if I describe it well enough so that it will resonate with them, I have just created symbolism in this moment that their character can latch onto. This means something. It's sort of like common ground. It's not exactly what I'm saying, but it's like there is an emotional symbolism at play here that the character can resonate with, even though they are not that creature and they're not in that situation. And this strikes an emotional chord with them. But see, this is woven under the story. The story is the dragon and the mournful howls and the cage and the re-education. That's the story. That's what's unfolding. But layered underneath that story are layers of symbolism that tie back to emotionality. With TTRPGs, it's very important to remember, it really all comes back to emotionality and emotional resonance. And so if you can master that, and using this layered narrative will help you to do it. If you can master that, you're going to take your games to a whole new plane of awesome, and your player characters are going to love it. They're going to thank you for it. Probably going to be the best games they've ever gotten the chance to play in. And there you go. That's going to be all I have to say on this one. Make sure you watch some of my other awesome videos. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you awesome people on the next one.